Hey, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Where's my other host at? No, I'm not coming on here by myself. Oh, there you go. And all your loveliness. Got the Farrah Fawcett curls going on. hmm But good evening,
Whole
everyone. Good evening.
like a whole Caucasian out here.
The whole Caucasian.
Don't my hair wrap around my neck like a
Uh,
fur.
mm, that's your mane, like a lioness. Rawr. Good evening, everyone. Please, if you have an opportunity, please share. Let everyone know that another rendition of Frontline News is now on. Good evening, everyone. We have a great show lined up for you. We're going to talk about some issues that our organization, People Empowered by the Struggle, has been dealing with in the community over the last week now. And we've been trying to navigate through uh, many of these broken institutions, many of these broken systems that are in Baltimore City. It seems like there's not one agency that we haven't dealt with that doesn't seem to have some sort of broken components or broken pieces to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. And we're going to really discuss trying to find some solutions or resolutions in reference to some of these uh, issues going on, these social issues going on in our community that directly affects families every day. When we wonder why families are dealing with trauma and lingering trauma that continues to kind of go on for long periods of time, uh, many times it's because of the failed services and the failed response that they get when they reach out to these agencies looking for help, looking to be able to get some resolution in reference to whatever their problem may be, whether it's homelessness, whether it's domestic violence. It doesn't seem like any agency is functioning properly, and we're going to get deep into that discussion tonight because we have to call it for what it is. These are just broken systems, and it's creating additional issues with families in the process, and it's not protecting families in any sense. So, but before we get into that, really quick, of course, we always got to kind of pay the dues here, and we got to give thanks first of all to Black USA.news. We got to thank Donnie Glover and the whole team at Be More News, the home of the original Black Wall Street series, and the home of the Mans Award, the Black Wall Street Mans Award, which Yolanda has had the pleasure to be honored with one. I also, too, truly humbled by it, was honored with a Mans Award as well, a Joe Mans Award as well from Donnie. Thank you so much for that acknowledgement. And again, to our dear queen, Yolanda Pulley, for acknowledging her. I witnessed it, family. I'm telling you that I witnessed Yolanda, from it seems like sometimes 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, she's getting phone calls to the wee hours of the night from many different folks within our community that are dealing with issues and are trying to find resolutions to their struggles within our institutions. So, but again, thank you, Donnie, for that acknowledgement of our dear sister Yolanda Pulley and the work that she does. And she jumped in right away. I didn't get a chance to introduce her, but our next mayor of Baltimore City, and we're claiming it in Jesus' name. I keep telling folks we're claiming it in Jesus' name. Our next mayor of Baltimore City, Yolanda Pulley. Good evening. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
I greatly appreciate Donnie. I really do. By him being basically the only black media that I trust. We know that all black ain't black, and sometimes black do crack. It do in our communities. And I want to thank Donnie for staying strong.
Really quick, to kind of let folks know, just make sure that during the broadcast, we are going to be displaying our sponsors on the bottom. Please make sure that you try to make it a point to reach out to one of our sponsors, order something, buy something, support, even if it's just a reference to give out to someone else. please make sure that you support our sponsors. This is how we're able to keep coming on. This is not the free service of StreamYard that Donnie uses. This is the paid version of StreamYard, and there's some cost involved in it, and we want to make sure that we are supporting our sponsors who make all of this possible, who make BlackUSA.news possible, who make the Black Wall Street award ceremonies possible, who makes Black media possible, who makes Be More News possible. So again, as you see down on the bottom, our sponsors are going to be going by. Please make sure that you support our sponsors in any way possible, even if it's just a referral to someone to let them know. And then, of course, make sure you share, like this program. We're on Facebook right now. We're on YouTube right now. Please share. Let folks know that we are on the air. Also, you can be a part of the conversation. We want folks to join in and be a part of the conversation. We want you to come in to our room, and be a part of this discussion as we talk about some of these broken systems within Baltimore City today. And right down on the bottom, right there, all you have to do is just copy that link right there down on the bottom, and we will let you into the studio, and you can be a live guest on Frontline News, where we bring you news and conversation from the front lines of urban America and beyond. So before we get into the program, I have one more co-host to introduce this evening. Someone who I truly have learned to admire, a great father, a great brother in the community, a great defender of women in the community, an extreme lyricist. I mean, just nasty with the spit skills, with the lyrics. We played some of his tracks on here before. Just an all-around person that whenever people empowered by the struggle need someone to really step up and help us and support what we're doing in the community, this gentleman is always there. Brother Duran, you there this evening?
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, yeah, we can see you there. And all your purpleness, celebrating Ravens pride there. All your purpleness.
I'm about to get off. Don't play. Never the case. How you feeling?
Oh, that loss this Sunday, boy. That loss this Sunday.
Yeah, it felt good. It felt good seeing y'all lose. It did. It did. It always feels good when y'all have the lead and then you lose it in typical Ravens fashion. That's all that is.
Yolanda was talking about earlier today on the radio show, just like Baltimore City, it seems like, the Ravens coaching staff, just can't follow, what best practices are.
Yeah.
Most other coaches are kicking it when you're down, and taking the chance, and we'd have had a tied up game most likely, if we'd have did that, went into a little bit of overtime, and maybe defeated them in overtime,
Still caught that L boogie.
But you got one of the best kickers, in the league.
Not one of the best kicker in the league, and you didn't kick it. I
don't understand it, but that's for a whole nother show. Like we need to start a sports show just on that one. So
you don't want to do that. I'll be on that.
We might have to look into that, Donnie. We don't have a sports show yet on BlackUSA.news. You may need to put some of us brothers together and let us talk, especially talking about Lamar's contract. I think that's the biggest controversy right now.
Don't worry, we'll take him. Listen, my team will take him. We're gonna offer him the max.
So will all the other teams.
We're gonna offer him the max as soon as he walk out of the stadium. He got it. That's just what we're gonna do.
Well, we have an interesting conversation this evening. We've been dealing with people empowered by the struggle. Of course, folks know that we've been dealing with issues in reference to homelessness. We've been dealing with deplorable conditions in the housing projects and getting complaints from citizens who are living in housing, public housing. And we've been trying to navigate through that. I mean, rats, roaches, mold,
Yeah.
All kinds of infestations going on in some of these, folks' home, and it's not humane living conditions. And then, just recently, we've been navigating. Actually, for the last few months, we've been navigating through several domestic violence issues and trying to get folks resources in reference to domestic violence. I mean, we had one particular incident. We had a woman's house shot up. Upteen amount of times, dozens amount of times, and it just seemed like it was impossible to get the city to move on this. And when we wonder why people become victims, of their circumstances, and
Hmm.
their circumstances, domestic violence, they're dealing with a domestic violence situation. When we're wondering why people are losing their lives in the process, it's because people are seeming to have a laxy daisy approach to providing some sort of relief or help or safety for some of these folks, that are dealing with domestic violence.
I just got a domestic violence call too. Um,
Wow, wow.
right. No, I think that they're too busy playing politics with people's lives, and
Hmm.
it's disheartening because at the end of the day, if we can save lives, that's what we need to be doing. If we can save somebody's housing to keep them from being homeless and ending up in shelters, that's what we should be doing. We should not be politicking, red taping, or bureaucracying with people's lives. That's just plain and simple. It does not take a rocket scientist. If you don't want to deal with these individuals, that's fine. But don't make it hard for us who want to help them, who they reach out to us. They reach out to us for help. Don't make it hard for us. And to be honest, Baltimore City is not even equipped with all the tools that it needs to survive nor thrive. They throwing all their money into Life Bridge and all these other entities, and who the
Catholic
hell want,
charities, come on, Catholic charities.
who's going there? Who's going there to get services? You're requiring these people who have no transportation, who has no way to get around. You're requiring them to come to you so you can sign up for all their data, like the lady that I just helped. The young girl that I just helped. They collected all of her data and then told her, "Oh well, we'll call you if a spot comes available."
Or how about the incident that we had recently, where of course, the woman was assaulted in the house, was living in the boyfriend's house, so it wasn't necessarily her house. Was put out, had to find some place to go, had 3 children that needed to be sheltered for the night, and we were given the runaround in reference to trying to find her housing for the
And that
night.
was in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. So it's not just
Mhm,
the city playing these type of politricking games. It's also
mhm,
in Baltimore County
mhm,
where resources are limited. That's why I said we can't be throwing all our eggs in one basket and
mhm,
thinking that it's a one size fit all. It's not. Everybody's circumstances, condition, and everything is different. And we need to treat it as such. That's just like they're treating mental illness and drug addiction as the same thing. It is not.
mhm. I think that what troubles me is we just had a incident just recently where, and I always thought that the folks that were in charge of issuing warrants out in reference to domestic violence, I thought that they were, either some sort of law enforcement officer or someone with some sort of, legal background. And you told me that, just yesterday, the person that's in charge of issuing warrants out in reference to domestic violence cases is a civilian. It's
Well,
actually a
actually,
civilian
the one
agency.
is two pieces to that because the commissioner's office, where you go down and file to get warrants and peace orders and things like that. The woman who oversees it, her name is. Give me a second, cause I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm on my attack mode
We
in
call the
people.
names. Call the
Right,
names.
and that's yeah.
And this is a
So
governor's appointment, by the way. This isn't. This
admin
is someone.
commissioner
Go ahead. Go
Admin
ahead.
Commissioner Linda Lewis is the woman that sits over top, who was appointed by Hogan, who hires people like Commissioner Martin, who thought it was a good idea not to issue a warrant on a guy who busted out 3 of a victim's windows, got caught on camera trying to break into her house by the police department. They went and checked somebody's ring camera, and he tried to break into her house. I guess he would have been successful if I guess he wasn't scared off. And then threats of violence in text messages. How did you not issue a warrant? And then you had the audacity, the nerve, the humiliated gall, Deron, to say, I'm not answering no more questions. That's your job, ma'am. Where are we at with public servants? These people get paid with our taxpayers' money, and we get no results. We get nothing. But I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Let there had been a Hispanic family or a Caucasian family, the outcome would have been different. But these
much
are the
different.
same ones. These are the same ones that sit up there and issue warrants on BS charges on people. And I'm starting to think that all this is a conspiracy, because you issue warrants on people who come down there and lie and say that their jaw was broken and they're talking to you. You're telling me that your jaw was broken an hour before you came down, that you done, smoked your weed, went and picked your kids up, did all kinds of stuff, waited till late in the evening, and you talk about this man somebody broke your jaw, and you issued a warrant. But this girl came down there with 5 police reports, 5, and a peace order that he violated, and you did not issue a warrant.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. And what's interesting is you bring up another conversation about another broken institution. When you talk about folks who are in these civil servant positions, and we expect to be able to reach out to them to be able to navigate through whatever the resources are available. And just recently, you had an incident with homeless services, to where you were speaking to one of the main people in reference to homeless services, and they told you, it's a courtesy for me to answer the phone, and made it seem like, he was doing you a favor by answering the phone when you were trying to get resources for families. This wasn't about an individual male or individual female who was homeless. We were talking about women with children that were homeless, and many of them living in the streets, or many of them were living transient, in people's houses, and you were trying to find some resources because the shelters don't do a good job in reference to taking care of families. The hotels are not necessarily equipped and set up, and they're not authorizing these families to necessarily go into these hotels. So it's, what do you do with women and children, or in some cases, women, men, and children that need shelter because they're homeless? And this, director, had the gall to be able to tell you that it's a privilege for me to answer the phone with you.
Yeah, I bet you he ate those words real quick. He apologized. I don't know how I want to feel about that, but anywho,
But that's after you went over his head and made it clear to those who were in charge above him that, he's a civil servant, and this is not about a privilege. This is his duty to answer the phone and to provide answers and resources. That was after the fact. But from the beginning, he had this posture like, I don't have to deal with you and I don't have to entertain this. And you're lucky that I'm even answering the phone.
well, one thing I hate to do is I have to tell people's characteristics. And, it should not have to come to that. When I told you the worst thing anybody could do is make me feel like I have to defend my character. And when I have to defend my character, anything that fly out of my mouth, I'm not responsible for. You're responsible on how you perceive it, how you take it at that point. And, basically, I hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, he made it clear that his feelings was hurt. That's what's interesting, and here it is, a strong, and I'm going to call it for what it is, a strong African, because he's not necessarily from here, He has a strong African accent. And you heard his pride a little bit. Them African men ain't used to, a strong woman like yourself coming at them, letting them know
Welcome to America.
exactly right. Welcome to Be More City. And Yolanda Pulley. You ain't met her yet.
That's why they're gonna name a hurricane after me.
I said that earlier. Why is it, and you folks can chime in, why is it that we have no hurricanes named after black folks?
You know why? Because we're angry.
It'd be the most fiercest storm to ever hit this planet, wouldn't it?
Because we're angry and we're tired. And the thing is that what are we being nice for? Why are we sparing people feelings? When at the end of the day, you leave us to tell women and children they have to sleep outside. I'm not doing that. If I got to drop them off on your doorstep, I will. If I got to call, if I got to give them your personal phone number and you tell them, that's what's going to happen. I'm not making excuses, nor am I condoning the behavior of some of these Baltimore City agencies. I'm not doing it. My name is Yolanda Pulley, free slave. Free slave.
Free slave?
I'm a free slave. I'm not enslaved. I'm a free slave. Because you know that they tell us in the Constitution and what's the name? We're just only free slaves. They never changed that. So guess what? People need to recognize what a free slave look like. And this right here, free slave.
Well, ain't no shackles on your feet and ain't no chains on your hands. I could definitely say that one. So and I just fear the wrath of anyone, who tries to, impede in your push to try to get resources for folks. Because again, at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about these families that you're trying to help in the process. I want to go to Duran for a second. And Duran, going to this domestic violence thing, what more do you think we can do as a community, to try to change this narrative? Because it seems like there are no systems in place to protect these women. I know that don't get me wrong, I know that there's agencies out there. We were watching the news today, me and Yolanda this morning, and we saw that, LifeBridge is supposed to have a domestic violence unit, and we never heard of it before. It was the first time we had ever even heard of this LifeBridge. So it doesn't seem like they're getting the information out there. But what more do you think
I'm
can
give
be
you
done?
The name of it.
So I think
what
that
do you think can be, to be done to protect these families?
We as a people need to hold each other accountable. Men have to hold men accountable. Even women have to hold women accountable. Women have to hold men accountable. Men have to hold women accountable. We all have to hold each other accountable. And if that's not the case, then this is what we're living in.
Well, see, the thing is that they don't hold anybody accountable because, we got too many soft feelings roaming around this Baltimore City.
Listen, yes, that is the case. But the thing is, though, when you see it, say something. Like we live in an era where everybody says, well, I'm gonna just mind my business. We're a community. It takes a village to not only raise a child, but to raise each other. Like we need each other. And if we don't have that, then this is what we're living in. This is the society that we're living in. We have men not acting like men. We have women they don't even feel comfortable being women no more.
Well, we were never given an opportunity. We wasn't never given the opportunity to be just to play one role in the household since they took the man out. We the ones that have to play mother and protector all at the same time. And we look for these city agencies to be our protectors and our government to be our protectors because that's what we pay for. We have the right to safety, decent living in an enjoyable community in Baltimore City. That's what our money pays for. And that's not what we're getting.
Well, I told you yesterday when I heard the attitude of that particular person who's in charge of issuing out warrants, when they made the comment they made, I told you that's because they have no empathy towards the people that they're serving. In many cases, they sit here, in the status quo, of society. They sit up here. I went to college. I thugged it out. I did what I had to do. I didn't do drugs. I didn't have children, out of wedlock. I didn't do all this stuff. And then here you come and they look at you down here, and they say, well, why should I help you when this seems to be the norm? You don't vote. You're not trying to better yourself. You're having children out of wedlock. You are a burden to the system. Why should I help you? And they look at you down here as opposed to looking at you as an equal, or even just looking at you as a human and saying, well, you have certain inalienable human rights that should be protected. Like you shouldn't be beat on. You shouldn't be abused.
You shouldn't be stalked. You should not be harassed. And see, you brought up a very interesting point. That's because we also suffer with the syndrome. I got mines, you got yours to get. We also suffer with that syndrome. We also suffer with, just like you said, not being equal. You know what makes us equal? Our taxpayers' money. And I need my people to understand that. Our taxpayers' money makes you higher than anybody that sits over top of the so-called sits over top of you, because you have the power to get them gone. The pen has always been, I could not understand why in our school when we was younger, it was this big banner that went across the school, especially in the hallways. It say the pen is mightier than the sword. And I didn't get that until I got grown. And I tease you a lot. And I'm like, uh-oh, they done pissed Jason off. He ready to write a strong email. And now I get it, why they say the pen is mightier than the sword. Because when you send out those emails, even though it's not necessarily a pen anymore, it's an email, it's a text message, it's anything that says, I'm going to hold you accountable. And this is if I can hold my children accountable for lying to me, if I can hold my neighbors accountable for disrupting my neighborhood, then I can hold you accountable. We're still on it. We're not on this. You're absolutely right. We sit over top of them. They don't sit over top of us. And we need to get that in our heads. These are not our celebrities. This is not our Jay-Z. And this is not our Beyonce. It's none of that. Our taxpayers' money says that you work for us. We don't work for you. So that makes me your boss.
Then watch out calling Beyonce's name out. You have the Beehive after you. The Beehive don't play.
I ain't think about no damn Beehive. The Beehive ain't helping nothing in Baltimore City.
When it comes to Queen Bee, you don't want the Queen Bee.
You need to settle down.
I don't need to
Beehive. You need to settle down.
You don't want the Beehive after you.
Look, the way she got a stinger is the same way I got a stinger.
Well, again, with these broken agencies, that something needs to be done. We shouldn't have women worrying about what they're going to do for the night in reference to domestic violence. We shouldn't have women and children wondering where they're going to lay their head to rest
or
when
feeling
circumstances
unsafe.
present, or feeling unsafe. When circumstances present itself that way. And there should be a support system. And I thought that's where the support system was supposed to come in at. We created this office, the mayor's office of children and family success. And originally it started with the office of African American male engagement, which, I still yet to see any engagement going on with Black males in our community. And I have yet to see, really pushing of success of children and families in Baltimore City yet. And again, if we're still getting those phone calls as an organization for folks who are having trouble trying to find resources in Baltimore City, then these agencies cannot be doing what they say that they're doing.
Yeah, the program is called, the director is Audrey Bergen, director of the Dove program, who runs the Center of Hope under Life Bridge. Where are these people at?
I don't know, but I know that we we wrote the information down because we're gonna challenge every organization and put yourself on point, nonprofits. If you have an organization out there that claims that you're helping people in reference to homelessness, or you're helping people in reference to domestic violence, or you're helping people in reference to, whatever it may be, mental health services, things of that nature. We got a lot of people popping up PRPs, and then we have people coming back to us telling us, that their program wasn't about Jack, wasn't about Diddley in the process. We're going to start calling some of you organizations out when we call on you to try to navigate these families to get the services
I'm gonna
that you
start
claim that
recording
you're
now.
rendering.
I'm gonna start going to these agencies myself. I don't want to see your numbers or your data. I want to see your work. And I'm sick of this data driven slave trade that we're doing. We're only buying and selling our citizens in programs. That's all we're doing. I show you how many black people I got enslaved, and you show me how much money you could give me to buy them. No, that system has to be broken. I don't care about your data. I care about your work. Show me how many successful people you done helped. I bet you them numbers start dwindling down.
So I said I was going to do this one episode. I see Duran's body moving there in the background. I said I was going to do this for all your catering services. I'm telling you, you can't go wrong with Chef Duran. Chef Duran will hook you up. I'm telling you. If you follow
what you
his
making there? What you making there, son?
Right. If you follow his Instagram, he's made. I don't know, hot dogs there. Look like some hot dogs, some wieners there. Look, I'm talking about gourmet. Look, I'm expecting you break out a bottle of wine and some flames going, and you hand me 2 hot dogs up in the air. I don't know what's going on over there, but look, he made
You
some
grinning? We having
breadsticks.
hot dogs for dinner?
Look. I'm gonna throw this out there. He made some breadsticks the other night that
oh my God, he's still on these breadsticks.
Oh yes, them breadsticks was
I think
OMG.
Jason ate the whole pan of breadsticks. It was sad.
They were restaurant style. I'm telling you, if you need some catering services, ain't nothing like Chef Duran. I'm telling you, and you got to follow him on Instagram because I'm telling you, he's been posting all of his pictures of his final products and stuff. I'm telling you, when he's done, I'm telling you,
he cooking when you see that elbow moving.
That's right.
Go elbow, go elbow, go. Go elbow, go elbow, go.
So, but another issue that we wanted to talk about, and again, domestic violence is one of the issues that we've been dealing with. But we had a really deep discussion today, and actually a heated debate today in reference to the ballot question. And I thought that we would talk about that really quick during our
You must have read my mind.
So again, I love all my warriors out there. I don't care, old, young, Republican, Democrat. I love all of y'all out there that are out there doing something in reference to something in Baltimore. Whatever initiative.
It depends on my love goes where the agenda is.
And again, it was interesting to see that there is a push for this question K on the ballot. In case folks don't know what question K is going to be on the ballot during the election that's coming up, it's going to be in reference to term limits. And the language is basically you can run for 2 terms, which most likely is an 8-year service. And then after that, you cannot run again for that position for 1 term. So you have to sit out a term. So you cannot, if you were mayor, you cannot be mayor for 1 term. And you have to come back and run after 1 term. So you can always come back to being mayor, but you have to relinquish the seat after 2 terms. And me and Yolanda really, what we witnessed over this last election cycle, and even when Yolanda was running for mayor, what we witnessed was a lot of cronyism, a lot of nepotism, a lot of political wheel and dealing going on. And unfortunately, You can have somebody with term limits all you want to. If the status quo really wants to keep power, they will keep appointing, validating, endorsing, putting on their ballot tickets, because we saw a lot of that going on. Folks that we had never heard of before, but yet some of our top senators, our top delegates, even some of our U.S. Congress people and U.S. senators were validating and endorsing people that we had never heard of before in the community. And then also, you have some of these institutions and organizations, and I got to call them out, like the unions, that tend to endorse people, like the Baltimore Sun and some of our other publications that tend to endorse people, and
Fox 45.
Fox 45 and folks like that. And unfortunately, the community listens to these endorsements and say, well, if Senator such and such is endorsing them, then that's who I'm going to vote for. Never really looking at the platform or the position or what the agenda is of this person, not realizing that in many cases we are voting the status quo in. We are keeping the status quo in. So Yolanda, we had this discussion over the radio and it got pretty heated with Doc, because Doc and Giovanni, who's one of the leaders in reference to this initiative, in reference to the ballot question, K, they stand by this, and they really feel that this is a way to kind of turn the tide as far as political process is concerned in Baltimore City. But you have another idea that really and truly we should be looking at wholeheartedly, and you want to expound on that?
Yeah, like you said earlier, we already have term limits. So, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result
And what's
is
the
not.
term limit? And what's the term limit?
It's voting. When people go out and vote every 4 years, that's the
Say it
term.
again. Say it
That's the
again.
term limit. We need a recall process. And we need a report card. One can't. They have to go hand in hand. The citizens of Baltimore need to be filling out a report card every 2 years for their community liaisons, their community council people, and the mayor, city council president, and the mayor. And if we don't like what you've done or you ignored us for 2 years, we have the right to vote you out. We have the right to bring back the ballot and vote you out. This is the bullet to the ballot at this point. You know, and they make it really. They know what they're doing. Everything is set up by design. It's all strategically planned out to keep them in power and to keep us uneducated. Um, a recall process means that we don't have to suffer with you for 4 years while you collecting $200,000 a year off our money. And then we need seats that's elected. We need them seats that we need. I mean, seats that's selected. We need them election. No seat in Baltimore City should go without being on the ballot, because if it was up to me, I would do a report card and a recall system on the city administrator and the city solicitor. They would be gone today.
I
Because
was looking at the fact that you have a recall process in California, and it worked. Again, there was a strong progressive movement. That progressive movement brought in um, uh, the district attorney for San Francisco, who was a very progressive part of this progressive movement, almost the same progressive movement as Marilyn Mosby, as our state's attorney Marilyn Mosby is concerned, looking at correcting a lot of the social injustices and judicial injustices that are taking place, especially for people of color. But unfortunately, when crime kind of got out of control in San Francisco, and it seemed like the prosecutor's office wasn't doing their job, the people spoke, and the people basically recalled the district attorney and voted him out. In this particular situation, where we don't see an improvement in our school system, and I know that most folks say, well, it's a state agency, we can't blame Brandon, but Brandon is still upholding, in many cases, he's not speaking out against Dr. Santelises.
no, he's
He's not
speaking for. He's
He's not
speaking.
speaking
He's
out
speaking
in
up.
reference to the school board.
But he's
Um,
speaking for her. He's giving out awards and,
yeah,
telling them how a fantastic job they're doing. I just need somebody to answer a question. What are they seeing that we don't see, and what are we seeing that they don't see? because there's no way on God's green earth this woman
Yeah.
should not be recognized for anything except for the failure of the uneducated Negro child.
You have public safety issues, you have homelessness issues, you have housing issues, you have infrastructure issues.
I
You
don't want you
know,
to put issues behind it. I want you to put homicide behind it.
right.
We have housing homicide. We have educational homicide. We have safety homicide. I mean, at this point, we have to call it for what it is. If people are dying behind these systems and they refuse to put their hands on it because of bureaucracy and red tape, that means that you should not be our city, anything that sits in our city. You need to be a businessman. You need to go run your own business where, you can set everything in order, because every decision they make affects us indirectly or directly. And 9 times out of 10, it really doesn't turn out well for the black person.
I just realized, Farrah Fawcett, you just pulled your hair back. Like it
Yeah, it
was
was getting on
all
my nerves.
fluffy and lovely and flowy
No,
and like
no,
I'm I can't believe you did that. But
it was on
that's
my
a
neck. I can't. I can't. I got a nice long ponytail.
anyway. But these systems again that are broken, and we should be really looking at
I don't even
finding.
look at them as being broken. I look at the fixes in. It's not even broken. Because if it was
Well, it's
broken,
broken
then
because the officials are breaking it. The
that's what I'm
people that
saying.
are
But it's
appointed to
it's
these
not
positions
technically.
as
It's
directors
not
are
broken.
breaking it. Right.
No, it's not broken. The people that's running the system is broken. The system runs fine. It's the people that's running the system that's broken. They have, just like you said, no empathy, no sympathy. They don't care. They're looking at us like they're doing us a favor, when in all actuality, like I said, we're your boss. That's just like if I go to McDonald's and I order, a Big Mac, and you give me a double cheeseburger and say, oh, well, you have to be fine with that because that's what I felt like making. Let's be like Burger King. I want it my way. Let's stop being like McDonald's and be like Burger King.
Well, again, something has to be done here because families are being victimized in Baltimore City, and to think that the current policies or the current way that business is being done in Baltimore is working, that's not the case. It's not working. And that's why in some cases we really need to really look at that whole recall process. Now, I know that there was some help and some assistance given, and I'm saying to Yolanda today, earlier, maybe we can push for the same assistance, that Giovanni and them got in reference to this whole initiative, this ballot question. Kay is concerned. We know that over 200 plus $1,000 was contributed by Fox 45, by the actual parent company, Sinclair Broadcasting, to actually help push this initiative. It does cost, to get
I just
people to
have a
go out.
problem with. I just have a problem with, when it comes down to who's pushing it, not that it's being pushed. The question is who's pushing it and why. If you're
Tell
putting
the
in
truth.
200, right? If you're putting in $200,000, what is it in for you?
Right.
We got people want a return on their investment. I think the only ones work for free is us, to be honest.
Right. Well, we know that this is a conservative agenda. I hate to say it, although, I saw some of my brothers and sisters up there that I know and respect in the community as civil rights leaders, as those who have, always been in the battlefront, in reference to many different issues that plague, our community. They, are standing there, unfortunately, with a backdrop of conservatism. It is supported by conservative media. But again, if the outcome, you know, gets us results in the process, then by all means,
I
you
don't even
know,
think it's that, Jason. I just think that Baltimore City is so in a position of desperation now that anything, just like you said, we get a whole bunch of stuff. We get a whole bunch of um wet tissue and we throw it at the wall and we see what sticks. That's not how we should be doing our people in this so-called thing called politics. We should not just be throwing anything out there to see what sticks and hoping the one that we pick don't fall off the wall soon. This, like I said, this is what desperation looks like. We're willing to fall for anything except for standing up for something. I just can't do it. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't, if we already have a recall system, which is every 4 years, which is voting, then why are we putting in place a recall system? And one
And
of them,
why are
and
we
just
even
like you
putting
said,
in? Why are we even putting in? A ballot question in reference to term limits when there are term limits? Just
right.
vote them out. The problem is that we don't have a very well educated voter. We have, easily, my numbers, I keep saying, are close to 100,000 citizens in Baltimore City may be disenfranchised from the process. They don't believe in the process. They don't vote. They don't register. They've never voted. And matter of fact, that number has actually widened and increased because at one time there were folks that had never voted before, but voted because of Barack Obama, because of President Obama, our first black president. Folks were willing to jump up and register to support that initiative. After that 2016 election, it seems like majority of them have fallen off the map, and there's none of them left over in reference to current voter numbers. And so they are now again disenfranchised. So I'm not sure what we need to do, but I know that there's at
Well,
least
you know what we
easily
have to
over
do, Jason.
100,000 folks disenfranchised in this
Yeah,
city.
but you know why I asked. The thing is that when you want to know, it's never such thing as a dumb question. It's only a dumb thing when you don't ask the question. So I asked some voters. I say, why you don't vote? Voting don't count. It don't matter. Why you say that? You see, if we was to vote, they put who they want to put in office. People not understanding the process of how to vote.
But in some
In
cases,
the
that's true,
primary
though.
election,
In some
huh?
cases, that's true because again, I just talked about the status quo, and in some cases, we may see that even with question K, becoming the law of the land, you're still going to see, the cronyism. You're still going to see people positioning for power, and supporting each other, and accelerating each other, to get into those positions. So you get a Brandon Scott that served 2 terms and can't serve anymore. You best to believe that there's somebody within that circle, within that political status quo of Brandon, that is going to be postured, is going to be groomed, and is going to be positioned to come in and take over after Brandon. It's not like you're going to change the seat over and just some fresh face, from off the streets is going to come in and take over the seat unless the people speak that into existence, unless the people express their power and bring that into fruition. But outside of that, you could easily have, 10 people within a political party with the same political agenda that just keeps pushing each other into that seat, still keeping the same status quo, still keeping the same agenda,
But if
still
we had a
keeping the same
recall
oppressive
system,
policies.
yeah, but if we had a recall system, then that would look totally different. And
That's a
like I
check and
said,
balance. That's a
right.
check and
So,
balance to it.
like I said, I'm the one to go out there and I ask questions. So when I ask them, after they gave me this mumbo jumbo of why they don't vote, and I told them, well, even when you don't, I said, well, you're absolutely correct. I said, when you say no to voting, you still gave them your vote. Um, it was still counted. So that's how your person don't go to the general election because you didn't vote in the primary. And I said, and I asked this other lady, I said, why don't you vote? She said, give me something to vote for, to vote to believe in, to give me hope. But she said, but other than that, if you can't promise me that things are going to get better, I will not vote. So we got to
Mhm.
retrain the way that we think about voting because your vote still means money, just like people don't do the census. Census is money that's counted for the community to
Yeah.
get their rightful money, and that's the
Yeah.
difference between our inner city and in Baltimore City. You know, the L and the butterfly. That's the difference. People do their due diligence with voting and paying their and doing the census, which brings a lot of resources to their community, and then it blocks out the poor people.
Hmm. So, um, it's interesting that you talk about the census and being counted and things of that nature because we don't understand the political process. We don't understand that our no vote still counts in many cases because it means that we're satisfied with what's in office.
Right.
We're satisfied with what's coming into office. And like you said, when that person goes on down the road, it's part of the knowledge in Baltimore City that if you win the primary, you're going to win the general election. Well, that's because nobody's really contesting it. Nobody's allowing an independent party, or supporting an independent party to contest it. Or in some cases, like our brother Giovanni, who's a Republican, many folks are not looking at the position and the platform of what Giovanni presents, and they're voting the status quo. And we really need to get away from voting the status quo. There was something else that you brought up too. I'm losing my thought in reference to there was something else you brought up.
It's called
Um,
old age.
uh, all this gray. So I'll admit that. But it was something that you had brought up in reference to um, elections that I wanted to end off in. Oh, folks who know me and who have watched my videos have known that I have always in the past have argued um, in reference to voter education is concerned, in reference to re-enfranchising or bringing back in those who are disenfranchised in our community. I've always been a supporter of, and if you've watched my videos, I've always been a strong supporter of the current political power structure that we have currently in office. I don't see a problem with someone being in office for 20 years as long as they've been doing the right thing for the community. I don't see anything wrong with the power that the mayor holds, and even in some cases, changing the structure of the Board of Estimates. Because if somebody gets in there who's doing the right thing by the people and doing the right thing by the purse, then that shouldn't be a problem. The problem is, and what disturbs me is, it seems like every time that we look at our structure, political structure in Baltimore City, everybody wants to try to chop it down and trying to diminish its power that we have. No, stop trying to diminish the power of an office that is one of the most powerful seats in the country. The mayoral power that we have in Baltimore City is there for a reason, but it needs to be utilized properly. What's the saying from the Spider-Man
They have
movie?
the ability. It's just like the Bible. They have the ability to breathe life and death into our situations.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
right now, all we see is death.
yeah.
So just like you said, you know, you get that right person in office, and then you turn around and get
That
another
Marion
Stephanie.
Barry person,
Right.
that person that comes in and truly uplifts people out of the ashes like a phoenix, and what do they say in the Spider-Man movie? He tells Peter Parker, he says, with great power, his uncle says, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's the
And just
that's
like I say, I'm heavy as the head that wears the crown.
yeah.
You knew what you. We need to stop making excuses. Because I was reading. I was actually reading something on Facebook the other day, and I got so mad I had to get off. When they say they expect Brandon Scott to do everything, so you expect him to do nothing? My expectations for my leadership is high. You damn right. It's supposed to be high. Your expectations for your leadership should be high. Because the thing is the word leader in front of it. And if we don't have a good leader, we have a great failure. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
voter education needs to be back in school where it belongs. Because when I was in school, I knew who every mayor was because it was on a test. It's like they gave us a civics test on local government. We knew the three judiciary branches. We knew what they did. We knew our local government,
You mean
and
the
we
three
knew who
branches of
sat
government?
in these seats in the position that they held and why they held it. That right there, because if it's not in school, it's not going to be taught, and they know it. I should not have to go to college and get an education on politics when it was already free in our school. Now you want me to pay for it. The setup is real. And just like, they always said, if you want to hide information from a black man, put it in a book.
I heard that in some cases, and this was just one theory behind doing things like the student government body, and not having them anymore. I was told that the reason why we don't encourage a student government body, is because we don't want to encourage unnecessary competition. So we don't want to have, it's just like, and I know you've seen this in schools, where you have these competitions, these meets, where track meets, and everybody runs in the track meet. Of course, there's somebody that comes across the finish line, but everybody gets a trophy. Everybody has to be treated fairly. Nobody gets the champion trophy anymore.
Well,
It's
that's
being
just
pushed off
that
in
teaches us.
competition.
Yeah, but what does that teach us? That teaches that we're all on the same playing field and we're not. And then when we get down to the government, um, it's okay for us to run against each other and destroy each other. It's okay for us to say bad things and bad names and say bad things about our competition. But that's what life is about. It's about competition. And
Dirty
once you take
campaign
that
tactics.
right, and it has to be
Digging up the
competition.
dirt.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Jason, it has to be competition because people have to have something to look forward to. And just like you said, if everybody run a race and everybody wins, everybody don't win the mayor seat. Everybody don't win the city council seat.
It's not
Everybody don't win.
realistic. It's
Right.
not
It's not
realistic,
a
and
realistic thing.
you're not setting
It's a false
children up.
narrative.
Right. You're not setting children up for the real world, which is a very competitive, dog eat dog world.
What about
Like
the
you
work
said.
field, the
Mm-hmm,
work industry? It's
mm-hmm,
competition every time you go in and do jobs.
yeah.
Every time you fill out an application and you get called up, the few, the chosen, are the ones that get the job. So why are we teaching them that competition is not good? Competition is healthy because in everything there will be some that win and some that lose. But how could you sit up there and say that we're all winners? Did we win any grant money? Did Dr. Humphrey? Did
Mm-mm,
Christine Flowers?
mm-mm.
Oh, okay. So stop saying the
That's because
competition is
it's
not
a
healthy.
competitive world, including even in the nonprofit world. It's a competitive world. Everybody's vying for numbers. Everybody's vying for data. Everybody's vying for the same pot of money to be able to do, basically what should be done, as a human rights effort. And
End
that's
this
just
out,
to take care
Jason.
of our people. That's just to take care of our people. So, folks, again, thank you for joining us for Frontline News, where we bring you news and conversation from urban America and beyond. Make sure you tune in next week at 6 o'clock, where we will talk about something else within the front line of our community. If you need us, you know where to find us. We are people empowered by the struggle. We are a 24-hour operation, 7 days a week. We don't take off for your birthday, our birthday, nor Jesus' birthday, nor Allah's birthday. So nor Duran's birthday either. But we will take off for a few minutes to get a plate. So I'm gonna be over there shortly to get a plate. So we're gonna take a brief recess for that plate, whatever you cook in there. And I hope it ain't like Franks and beans or something
Hey,
like
I
that.
love Franks and beans. I love beans and Franks. I love it.
But again, folks, and if you need to reach out to us, you can email us pebts at or pebts.org@gmail.com. We love y'all. Stay blessed, as I always say. go out there and do something special for someone other than your own damn self. So, and with that, good night. Thank you, Chef Duran. And again, for all your catering services, reach out to us. Chef Duran got you.
Is that Darius on our podcast?
What's up, family?
Peeps all day. If you listen, power empowered by the struggle. Period.
With that, we'll wish y'all a good night. Peace.